and it was miserable. It was a sheet of ice, spoiler point. I should know what you guys swim.
Well, you were doing skate skiing, ice.
You don't want to ski on it. Sheer ice. It's interesting, I mentioned to Pat, I try to keep the class rolling along, and it's funny too, I got another indication yesterday in my 244 class as to why things might seem to drag on. I gave everybody, I brought stopwatches to class, and I broke them up into groups of 2. And I had one person hold the stopwatch away from them, and the other person was watching them. And I had them start and stop the stopwatch. And I said, stop it when you think 10 seconds have passed. So, bloop, they're counting their head, and then bloop, I took the clock down so they couldn't use it. And then I had them do it 5 times each, and then flip over, and the second person would do it. What do you think happened? First group, the first group that went, on average, how fast they think 10 seconds was? David?
I would think that the second person would hold it longer.
That did happen, about a second longer on average. It was meaningless when I put a standard deviation on it, but yes, it was, the center was 1 second longer. But both of them were far under 10 seconds. The first group averaged, I think it was 6 seconds. They thought 10 seconds was 6. And the second group thought it was like 7 or 7.5 or something like that. So it doesn't surprise me at all when classes seem like they last forever, because in your opinion, 10 seconds should be 6. It's funny because we did the experiment and we realized the flaw in it right away was that the second person was watching the first one happen. So they were getting an idea like, holy crap, this person thinks 10 seconds is 5 or 5 seconds is 10. And then they got to do it and maybe adjust, but they still didn't adjust enough to correct it to average 10 seconds. It was pretty comical actually, pretty comical. So it's just that once again, statistics can answer questions like that. For example, in 244, are commercials too loud on TV? Do you think commercials, a lot of us don't watch TV anymore, or you don't watch TV with commercials anymore, but those of you that watch TV that has commercials, are they too loud?
Yeah.
Very often I hear that. You could address that with statistics. I mean, the government tried to pass a law that says, commercials have to be below a certain blah, 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 blah. They missed the big point. It has nothing to do with the actual maximum decibel level. It has to do with the underlying decibel level of the entire program. It doesn't surprise me that politicians can't do statistics.
What do you mean by that?
Well, so you can measure, for example, a discussion by the maximum volume, sorry. But that belies the fact that the rest of the conversation is happening at an average volume. If you only look at the average volume, suppose you're watching a show that has 1 gunshot in it, and you talk about that entire show with that 1 gunshot. You've overrepresented the volume level of that show and/or commercial. The thing about commercials is they appear to be louder because on average they drive the average level up. But the average level isn't that much higher than the average level of a show statistically measured, decibel-wise. We'll analyze it in 244. It's kind of a fun thing to analyze.
Wouldn't it be black and white? I mean, when you're sitting...
Define black and white.
Well, yeah, I get that.
I mean, that's where this class is awesome.
Okay, so you're watching a show.
I'm watching a show.
And then a commercial comes on and it goes louder. And then the show
The average goes louder, but it's not statistically significantly. That's my point. It is louder, but only in the way that 7.8% is larger than 7.6%. Average. As soon as you put a plus or minus on the variation within, it gets gobbled up. That's the trick. That's the trick that we suck at as Americans. So let's get better at it. I want to come back to our height data. We'll do it towards the end of class. Right now, I brought this as backup just in case the height data wasn't, I wasn't sure if it was going to be enough data, and I don't think it is yet. I think if I collect it over the next couple of years, it'll fill out. But I got some data up here for us to play with. I pulled this off of a study in '06, nutrient adequacy during weight loss interventions. So we had a control group that was eating normal dietary intake, and the other one was eating a meal replacement group. And we were trying to see if either editing a diet with traditional food or editing a diet with meal replacements would generate more or less weight loss. That's what the study was trying to do. And I'm not interested, honestly, in the results of the study. That's more of a 244 question. What I'm going to do is, what do we do with the actual data that we have? Well, here's the data that we got. I think this was I forget which group this was. It doesn't matter. Actually, it doesn't matter if it's the control group or the experimental group. Here are the weight losses. Negative means weight was lost. Positive means weight was gained. My job, our job, figure out if these folks lost weight on average. That's the first question I want to ask. Did these folks lose weight on average? And you know better than to just give me an average, right? Of course you do. Of course you do. Hop to it! Start crunching, my friends. Start crunching. I want results. I want answers. Please.